Hello everyone and welcome to this Thomas Wooden Railway review. Today we're going to be looking at a pretty odd destination and one that's actually a bit rare. It is the SODOR Recycling Center with Lorry 1. So let's start off this by looking at the recycling center itself. It comes with this piece of track that's magnetic that allows it to connect to the destination. You can either do roadway or rail. This is one of the few magnetic tracks that I know of that actually has road on the other side. The most notorious one, the one that you see the most, is the one that comes with the water tower figure 8 set, and that one does not have road at the bottom because it connects to the water tower. So this is pretty cool to have a road and rail destination. And a lot of the destinations though don't even have magnets. They either just go free range, where it's just like you just put it on like that and you don't worry about magnets. But that's the only thing I don't like, is that if you're using it with a magnet in its rail, it makes it a bit difficult for certain layouts. But yeah, it does stay on pretty tight. You can do a bit of mixing up, like you can put one there if you maybe want to do a bit of a curve thing, but I think it's required and they put that on because the main feature of the set comes with cargo dumping onto a cargo car on the rails. There's the front with the SODOR Recycling Center. I'll just take that off, and you've got 3 slots, one for metal or cans, one for paper, and one for plastic or bottles. Then there's the side. I don't have batteries. The batteries sort of died, and I don't have an intention to put any in, but only really sound feature is that if you push here, Lorry honks, and then you can also have cargo drop in there into his, I guess, I don't know what you would call the thing on the back of him. I guess a cargo dock, but there's the back. This is the storage area. If you don't like putting the cargo there, they easily fit in snugly. But the problem is there's a big space, like for a 4th one, but there is no 4th one included. So I guess if you have extra cargo, you can fit it in there. Only the small pieces, the bigger ones, don't fit in. The back piece is plastic, while these 2 are wood, which is good. I always like some wood. The side piece is the door, I guess, to enter this place, but I don't think there's even any space for humans. There's a light, broom, a ventilation unit, and a recycling logo. And yeah, there's the front. The main feature of the set works without batteries, so I'll quickly show it off to you. I'll put it like this because it is I do only have a roadway engine with me, but if you take these off, the set knows which one goes into what spot. So if you put the bottle one in there, it'll dump it where the bottle one. I'll just show you, if you put cans in, it'll dump it in cans. And I think it's because of these knobs on the boxes that I think each one is made differently. Like these ones are, the one for cans are thick, like they go through. These ones are thinner on the paper one. I'll try to show that off. And then there's the one. It really works to have them all together. And then this one for bottles has none at all. Or that could be glass bottles or whatever. And then once you have them in, I'll just show it with one because I can't really dump them all at once. But it dumps, I guess, into his loader. It's a bit yeah, it's a bit stubborn today, but yeah, there's Lorry with the little bit of cargo, and we'll dump that off. Now let's look at Lorry. I've had a theory that he was included only in this set to get rid of excess stock, but I'm happy that he was included, because if I didn't have this set, I wouldn't have Lorry 1. There are 3 Lorries. Lorry 1, though, is the most common. Lorry 2 is more common, and Lorry 3 is like a really rare exclusive one that you can only get them in a 3-pack with Tiger Moth and Boko. So Lorry one's the most common, and I'm assuming maybe they made too many extra, and they thought, oh, people don't know who this character is, let's just throw him in here. It is nice to have a bit of a more obscure Thomas character included, but it does also limit sort of the possibilities with this set. I'm not. The character wasn't this. I would maybe suggest putting Whiff in this set, but he wasn't really introduced by the time this was released. But maybe a more. I can't even think of another character, so I guess they just decided let's just throw him in. The set wasn't sold for a very long time. It was sold in 2006 and was retired in 2007. So that's not a huge run for a Thomas Wooden Railway product. That's like a year. So this has actually made this destination very rare. And I do say rare, like it is hard to find, but it doesn't go for that much. The most I've seen it go for is $50, which, I mean, this is how much it probably would have cost back in when it was sold in stores. But I have seen it go for 40, and most of the time it isn't missing the track, but that is something that can be repaired. And also, it did come with a cargo car. I do not have the cargo car anymore. It was a dark green color. Hopefully I can get that replaced. But yeah, that is the SODOR Recycling Center. Last but not least, in this Thomas Wooden Railway review, we're going to be looking at an item released separately to the Recycling Center, and it is the SODOR recycling cars. Now, this is an interesting item. It lasted much longer than the recycling center, but was introduced before. The recycling cars were released in 2002 and were retired in 2010. So, quite the long run. I am a bit skeptical about the retire date because it says that they were released, that they were around in 2010, but they weren't featured in the yearbook. So I'm not quite sure if that's actually true. I'll maybe have to do some research to see what I can find of any advertising material or pamphlets, because I think at that time they didn't even use pamphlets anymore. But here is the recycling car. First thing you see is that there's a load of tires, which is interesting. I think this is one of the few times a rubber thing. I'll try to get that to focus. Rubber is actually used in Thomas Wooden Railway for cargo, not plastic, but rubber. Yeah, and you can see through it. If I put it up there, you can see through the truck there, and yeah, it's quite an interesting little piece. Definitely odd if you ask me, but the car itself features a grinning face, similar to Scruffy the rogue troublesome truck. And interestingly enough, it has a bit of a ridge near the bottom. This is one of the few items that actually feature this. There is a repainted version of the recycling cars that I believe are orange, and they came with Whiff. So definitely weird thing. I'm not sure, but that was sort of a repaint. I haven't really seen any other Thomas Wooden items that have this on it, so I don't know. Seems odd. Maybe it was a thing to save money, to save wood, but then it's like it just gets chipped off and not reused again. The truck itself can hold the cargo cars from the set. You can't dump them in. Well, you can, but it is a bit difficult. Like, you're gonna have some power to do that, but it's still a pretty cool car. It doesn't have a name. It's simply put as underneath the recycling cars. So it makes it sound like there's more than one when it's just the name for the one. So I don't know. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was meant to be called the SODOR Recycling Tire Car or something like that. But here is the sort of lame part of the set. It's the sort of bins, and you can sort of shake it around. And yeah, that's all you can really do with it. There's no real feature. There's no reason for it to be existing, except for the fact that it has the recycling. It does stay. That's the only funny thing, is that the bins stay straight unless you actually hold them, but then they will go straight again, which is pretty cool. They feature, even though released in 2002, they do feature the same loads as the recycling car, almost exact molds. Like, you can see with the cans, that one right there is similar to that one up there, and with the paper, you You can see those two overlapping and having one stick out, and then there's two overlapping and one sticking out there. And the bottom one is, if you put it like this, you can sort of see near the bottom of this one and that one. So yeah, that's interesting. For 2002, maybe they were planning to release this alongside the recycling cars and they decided not to. My theory is that it was planned and then they decided not to, because of the sort of sound feature. Maybe they thought it would be a bit lame, but, well, I'm thinking that it would be released around that time without the sound feature, and then they decided maybe a couple years later, oh, this is a bit of a boring design, but the recycling cars are out, let's release it with sound, and this obscure Thomas character that probably the people buying this never heard of. But yeah, that is the recycling cars, and we can't end off on a Thomas Wooden Railway review without looking at one character card, and here's the recycling cars character card. That's a bit of a mouthful. Looks the same as the one there. That's actually one of the more interesting times where it actually looks like the item on the card looks like the one that you're getting. Well, I mean, it's not that odd, but it's just there's a few times where you see sort of a really weird looking prototype. I guess in this case, some prime examples might be Diesel 10 and some of the battery powered stuff. But on the back of the card, it says, all of the engines know how important it is to recycle. These recycling cards make it possible for Thomas and his friends to transport glass, paper, and aluminum, or aluminium, whatever way you like, through the recycling facilities on the island of SODOR. And then blah blah, collect character cards for all your favorite Thomas Wooden Railway System friends, which you can't do anymore. And Learning Curve logo, Hidden Entertainment logo. And copyright 2003, Delane Thomas Limited, and we've got that face again. Yeah, and there's the recycling cars, and we're at the end of this Thomas Wooden Railway review, so let's get a bit unorthodox. We'll throw our friend Lorry one there in a sort of Flynn-esque style of the newer Thomas and Friends seasons, and we'll do a bit of a zoom out for the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this Thomas Wooden Railway review of the Recycling Center. Pretty interesting piece. I don't think it's that much worth it if you have a Thomas Wooden Railway collection. I'd only say it if you really want a decent thing to have in the background of your remakes and stuff. The cargo dock thing at the back is it's nice to have in the background of a remake. You can spot this one in a lot of my remakes because it's the only really destination I have besides Jolly's Chocolate Factory and the Echo Tunnel. But yeah, that's the end of this review. If you can get your hands on it for cheap, go for it. Now for the end of the video, we've got shoutouts. As always, if you'd like a shoutout in the next video, go to my Twitter, retweet the tweet that says RT this for a shoutout, and I will read out your @ on your Twitter account in this video. Yeah, and we've got a lot, not too much today, but last video there weren't any shoutouts because it was all pre-filmed, and it was my trip to the Montreal Train Convention, and I will have an annotation at the end of this video to watch it. It's quite a good video if you like interesting looking Thomas stuff. But yeah, here's the shoutouts. We've got Max Monty 1516, Calentail, excuse me if I butcher any of your usernames, Chris La Rocks, Sheldon 22774120, Wooden Rails, Will Poletsky, Easy Culdy, Percy 66C, Dr. Genty, Retro Gamer Marco, Joey Insulin, and Mallard Fan 62, and of course a shout out to Fancy Pants Land, who is my inspiration. That's the end of this Thomas Wooden Railway review. We've got some more reviews up over here, and a link to the video of the Montreal Train Convention. Pretty cool stuff. Check that out. Thanks for watching. This is Thomas Ultimate 1213 signing off and saying bye for now.